Frank.
Morning, afternoon, Dave.
Just so you know, you're being broadcast over TV and YouTube and everything else at the moment.
I'll behave myself.
You always do, but it bears warning anyhow.
Thank you.
Can't be already on.
No,
But he could be
they could be on
there and
standby.
ready, on standby kind of thing.
I don't understand that. I've never seen that before.
No, I don't know either.
Janice,
like-
can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. You're on there, fine.
Well, why
Hi,
is it that we,
I'm black. I mean, you're black though. I'm
I'm
in
just
the-
because I have my video off.
Oh, oh, there you go.
Whoops,
No.
wait a minute. Hold it. There you
Yeah.
go.
man, he's a good looking
Hi.
guy. Isn't he?
Yeah, good looking, Frank.
That's my son.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just I'm just gonna hang out. Okay, you can turn yourself off if you want.
Okay,
That's not your son. That's a woman.
I'll say. She hits me on a regular basis.
Yeah, she is a good looking woman.
Okay, so what? When's the meeting start?
Yeah, 7:00 it starts. She's putting things in his ears. I think he's off now. I'm gonna just wait. So,
She'll be back. There, you want me to mute you?
Yeah, you don't want to be like Tobin.
It doesn't say mute.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, David.
Just so you know, what you say and act out is being recorded, broadcast live to the World Wide Web.
That's too late now.
No,
Wait a minute.
no.
We're looking for controls here, like volume. And boy, that's a nice background you got there, David.
Well, it's pretty warm down here, particularly with this coat on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you
Oh, a
know,
little breezy there, isn't it?
yeah, well, a little sea breeze cooled me off.
Okay, so how does one mute this thing
In the
when
lower left,
it's no, there's nothing here. It's weird. I'm not an Apple guy, so
So what am I gonna do?
oh wow,
with
look at
this?
that. Hmm.
should say somewhere in your lower left-hand corner there should be a menu that has mute.
It says David Kinney in the lower left-hand corner.
I can mute you if you'd like.
Nah, it's all right. I'm
And then
leaving it. You can
well-
only listen to Janice.
Then you may be able to see how to unmute it. If I mute you, maybe it'll pop
Oh, yeah.
up.
Go
I'll
ahead.
try that and I'll bring you
Try it.
back.
Try that. Mute.
Did you,
There.
did you see something pop up?
Yeah, it popped up for unmute.
You're unmuted now.
All right, well, I'm
I
gonna
bet
leave.
I bet Janice would like to have this feature installed on you. Sorry.
To keep an eye on me.
No, the mute button.
I'm a busy guy. While I've got everybody's attention, don't forget the latest Free Press. It's got my 500th column in there.
What's the subject matter this week?
It's 500 columns, and I'm scaling back. I'm no longer going to be publishing a weekly column because it's driving me crazy.
That's only 10 years.
It's like an assignment you can't get out of. And there's no excuses either. The dog doesn't eat your assignment. You can't forget it. Anyway, I'll turn you over to Janice.
All right. I'm going to mute myself and go do some other task here.
Okay, mute me too, because she's decided to do dinner. And you're on.
All right, you're muted. Whoa. Oh, you unmuted. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing okay. I just love your background.
Thank you. It's kind of warm here with a jacket on the beach, but there's a little ocean breeze. It's cooling down.
In a couple of months, that's going to look even better.
Yeah. Look better in person.
Yes.
I'm going to mute myself and go do a couple other tasks here, but
Okay.
just be aware that what you say is being recorded and broadcast over the world.
I understand.
Yeah.
You should be there.
I'm here, I think.
There you go. That's Scott joining in.
Hi, Scott.
Oh, okay. You had me confused there.
Somewhere there, you may be able to get a different
Yeah, I
view.
know these little something different. This thing is,
There you go.
that's the best I can do. That's close enough.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Okay.
I'm going to close this just because to avoid a feedback loop.
I love it. Good evening, Nancy.
Good evening. How's everybody?
Well, I'm good. David helped me a tremendous amount to get online, so it's good now.
Well, I had to come to the town office here in Searsmont because the internet service at the cottage is, forget about it.
Well, we got a new house under construction, and the internet's going to be connected supposedly next Monday. So,
Oh, how wonderful.
well, that's supposedly, you know.
Well, let's have wishful thinking, right?
That's exactly right. We hope.
And my wife had to get me on.
Well, it's IT night.
Oh, I had to go in and out 6 times.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
The voice from above is just going to remind everybody you are being broadcast.
Big Brother is watching.
Bill N., what is your last name? Is he muted?
My last name is Norfleet.
Murphy?
Norfleet. It's
Norfleet.
N-O-R and fleet like a fleet of boats.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Bill.
Hey.
All right, now can anybody hear me?
Yes.
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 I can't find my earplugs, so. We got 1 minute. Shall we convene the meeting? All right,
Madam
Sure.
Chair, just so you know, Mr. Arman is an attendee and available whenever you need him. You just holler and I'll bring him over to the screen.
okay, thank you, David.
You're
So the Lincolnville Planning Board is convened now at 6:59 PM on November 12th, 2020. And we are doing this meeting by Zoom. And everybody can watch it on cable. 22, is that correct?
Excuse me,
Yes, Janice.
I just wanted to know if you could see me or hear me.
Yes, we see and hear you. And your cute little
Oh, okay,
beret.
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm cold.
And so we just have the one item on the agenda today, correct? And that is for
Yes.
Mr.
Oh,
Garrow Arman. And this is for us to approve, it's a pre-application approving a sales of firearms at his residence or on his property. And I don't know where else to really go with that, you guys. You're gonna all have to help me out, especially you people that have been here for a while. It's my first pre-application. And
You
it
can
looks
have
pretty
him
good to
give-
me. He looks like he went over and above. Yes, Frank?
You can have the applicant start with a segue to introduce what they're planning to do.
Okay. So David, we want to bring him on over?
Hey, Dave is muted.
Can he hear me?
He'll be on his way momentarily.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I'm trying to do 2 meetings at once here. I should know better.
Welcome. Can you hear us okay and see us?
I can hear you very fine, and I can see all of you, actually.
Great.
Oh, good.
So I need to ask Jay or Sandy, what is this next step? Do we allow Mr. Arman to introduce himself and his intentions?
First of all, there's 5 members tonight, so Bill and I are not sitting as voting members of the planning board, correct?
Correct.
I just as soon sit it out, quite frankly.
Okay.
Will you still participate or watch, Sandy?
I'll watch. I'd prefer not to participate.
Okay.
And I believe we should introduce ourselves.
Yes, that's a good point. I'm sorry. Thank you. So we'll start introducing yourselves for official roll call for Nancy to be able to record who is here. You want to start, Janice?
Janice K. Lincolnville Center.
I'm Elizabeth Udi in Lincolnville.
Sandy Delano, Lincolnville.
Scott Harrison, Lincolnville.
Jay Foster, Lincolnville alternate.
Dick Vermeulen, Lincolnville.
And Bill?
Bill Norfleet, Lincolnville. What do you call it? Interim
Alternate.
Bill.
or alternate? Thank you.
Alternate. And of course, Frank.
Frank Terrio, CEO of Lincolnville.
All right, Mr. Arman, why don't you tell us what's going on?
Okay, thank you very much for your time tonight. Many of you may know I own a farm which used to be called the Kelmscott Farm on Vencicle Road. And we operated as a farm for the benefit of the community, meaning obviously it is an operating farm on one hand, but it is more like a philanthropy because we do things in order to benefit our environment and the community. And so we don't do it necessarily for profit because there isn't much profit to be gained in the farming business. I have been here for 10 years. Prior to my residence here, the farm used to be called Kelmscott. And many of you, I'm sure, remember Kelmscott because it was in the vicinity of many of the people that took their children here. It was more like a petting zoo farm that people were familiar with in a radius of approximately 40, 50 miles. What I'd like to do, what I'm proposing to do is on the farm, we have multiple structures. I would like to operate a portion of what I own on the farm, which is an existing structure, which has been secured for some time, and it has all the required facilities as a federal, or I should say, I'm trying to get my federal firearms license, dealer's license, and I'd like to operate it as a specialty firearms and ammunition business. It will be by appointment only, meaning people that are interested in it will make appointments with me. We may open it for regular business attendance between 11 and 1 p.m. on Saturdays only. It will require minimal traffic, of course, because it's a by appointment business only. I have already installed the appropriate safeguards, meaning we have an alarmed facility with a commercial grade safe, and we have all of the required water, lighting, and other ancillary systems. I have already applied for federal firearms application, which is going to be processed formally once we get the town of Lincolnville okay to be able to occupy this facility. Anything that I have forgotten to mention, Frank?
No, that's a pretty good description of what you're planning on doing with Garrow. And as what Garrow's pointed out, it is in a room that already exists in the main building. And you'll see by the pictures some of the precautions he's already taken. And if you look in the beginning of the application, he has identified the 5 items that are required to be satisfied for pre-application. So if you want to, he can start through those, you know, unless the board has something else they wanted to look at first, like the plat plan or things, anything of that nature.
Is the building presently residential being converted to a business, or was this a non-residential building on your property?
The facility that will be used as a firearms dealership is currently not a residential property. The main building on the property is partly residential, partly for farm purposes. There is a barn, and there is also two rooms on the lower floor. One of the rooms will be used for securing the firearms and ammunition. That's under alarm, and it has a safe. And there will be a showroom, which is almost adjacent to that particular facility, and that's not used as a residential building right now. It's for a residential structure.
Okay. And do you presently have a shooting range on the property?
I do have a shooting range, but I have had that for my personal purposes.
Will that be part of your business to allow people to try out weapons? No?
We will not, no.
Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, if we could go back to the beginning, Frank, is this classified?
It's a minor project.
Minor.
Minor. Is this a pre-application meeting, or are we doing a completion review?
At this point in time, it's a pre-application, but they have all the content that would make it a preliminary if you board so desired to do so. They've
If it's a
answered all the
minor
questions.
project, we don't really, yeah, if it's a minor project, we really don't need to do a pre-application meeting.
Correct.
That's correct, but that was requested because the ATF was putting pressure on them. If they did not meet a certain time frame, then they would lose 4 months of progress going ahead. And therefore, they did not have all of the equipment, all the information together. So I put them on the board so that the ATF knows that they are proceeding with this for the town's approval. That's the only reason that not coming before the board is a preliminary. If the board so desires to change that, because I believe they have everything they needed at this point, then you can proceed. It's your call.
Excuse me, Frank, what about the abutters? Do we need to see whether they were contacted or not?
They would be notified. They have to be notified, obviously.
And that would be at for the next meeting to go through the approval process?
That's correct.
So we'd basically be able to skip one meeting, go straight from tonight into the approval process.
Correct.
Okay.
When do we find it complete?
Can we try to find it complete this evening?
If the board decides that this, you'll accept this rather than a pre-app as a preliminary because it's all there now. At the end of this meeting, after review the submissions, that's when you decide that the submissions are complete.
Okay, at this meeting tonight.
At this meeting.
Okay, great.
Great.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. What are we doing at this meeting for this gentleman?
The board is going to take a vote to decide if they want to review this as if it was a preliminary as opposed to a pre-application, because everything is there that they had needed before. For a preliminary.
All right, if everything is there, then should we make a motion at this point?
Could I ask a question first?
Yes, please.
I may have missed something back in the beginning, but did Sandy recuse himself?
Yes.
Yes. So has anybody been appointed to take Sandy's place?
Is someone going to make a motion?
Could you repeat what Jay said, because it's garbled over here?
It's garbled here too.
We need someone to make a motion to allow Jay to be a voting member this evening because Sandy would prefer not to participate.
Oh, I make a motion that we allow Jay to be a voting member.
I will second it.
Everyone in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 And do we need to go through it? Nancy, got everybody?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Jay, you get to be a voting member. Does that mean you can ask questions? And does everybody's reviewed it. Does anyone feel that there's something not complete here?
I think Janice was making a motion.
She was. Didn't we vote on it, Janice?
Yes, we voted and.
Seconded by Scott Harrison.
Yeah, Scott seconded it. So yes, we made Jay a voting member.
No, you were, I thought you were making a motion that this be a preliminary meeting as opposed to a pre-application meeting.
No.
Not yet.
Before we do that, I'd like to know if anyone else has questions. Do you all feel confident that this is complete enough to treat as a preliminary rather than a pre-application?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
I would make a motion that we've treated as a preliminary.
All right.
I second.
And everyone in favor of treating tonight's meeting as a preliminary, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
aye. Aye.
Thank you. Well, we're running all along with this. So now that means, do we need to go over the items by, I guess we don't have to go over 7.2 because we're assuming it's complete. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
And if we have deemed it complete, then we now let Mr. Arman take on the abutters and his notices, and we set a date for the actual review. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Is that correct, Frank?
That's correct. They will be notifying the abutters. And I will put the timeline together for the board as well as for Mr. Arman.
Man, does it ever get easier than this?
Have we reviewed to find it complete?
No, it doesn't.
What Jay is saying is that you really should run through what are the submissions that are going to be required and are they there and are they complete?
I would say yes to that.
Yes.
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 Okay. So we have not only the form that he filled out, describing all the not applicables, applicables, et cetera, but then Mr. Arman went on and took 10.2 and went through what all the necessary submissions would be to be considered complete, starting 10.2A. And that's what we need to go through and see if you all agree that it is complete. There are places, I had one question on the name, like 10.2I, the name and registration number and seal of the person who prepared the plan. Is that actually a plan that I saw that had Elaine Martin's name on it? That looked more like one of the deed requirements. Is that a site plan?
Gartley and Dorsey put that together. It does not have latitude and longitude, but that's not required because it's going to be in a building. And so it was put together by a certified land surveyor.
Okay.
The only thing on here that it said is the piece of the structures is an approximate location.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else, like I said, was put on by a certified surveyor. Gartley and Dorsey put that.
Mr. Arman, do you know about the square footage of the building you're hoping to use?
The area that will be used for this particular purpose is comprised of 2 rooms. One is approximately 350 square feet. And that
Okay.
would be the secure room. And the showroom is approximately 600 square feet.
Wow, okay. For the showroom. Thank you. So Jay, do we go through this one by one?
I would point out, first of all, that if the Gartley and Dorsey plan is the submitted plan for the commercial site, it does not have a signature block on it.
True.
Well, Jay, I don't see a reason why they can't use a revision block down below. It is 5 lines.
If it's designated as a planning board signature block, that's fine.
We can write that in.
Can that be written in? Okay.
Absolutely.
Also in the packet that I received, I don't know about anybody else, but there's a label that says licensing site application.
Yes, I saw that too, but I think that just might be a misunderstanding.
No, that's the review, what we're doing right now. That's all of the submission requirements he's already answered.
Correct, but we're not licensing anything. We're only approving, correct?
Well, we're finding the application complete.
Yes.
Right. Everything required on the ordinance has been submitted.
Right.
And he's listed that in his packet.
Yes. I just noticed that the note specifically said licensing requirements, and that's technically not something we're doing, is we're not licensing anything.
Yeah, it is 10.2 in all the items.
Yes, yes.
Anything that's beyond his control that requires a state license is something that can be a conditional, that can be pending.
And as far as I could
But-
tell from my research, there are no state licenses to be considered. This is strictly a federal license he's applying for, and that doesn't concern us more than us approving this business.
Correct.
Okay.
Are there any requests for waivers?
There was one request for a waiver on the location and size of the existing sewer and water mains, culverts, drains, on-site sewage disposal systems, etc. It seemed like a reasonable request.
That's the only request for a waiver?
That's the only one that Mr. Arman actually wrote that he was requesting a waiver for.
Wow.
What, Jay?
Well, if you look at this application, we're looking at an existing building on an existing site, the utilization within a room in the existing building. Everything that's in sections 11, 12, and 13 is really kind of
Covered.
relevant to the application.
Mhm.
And I don't want to bring up 2.1.1, but this is a perfect application for
Yes, it is.
2.1.1. I
Yes,
mean,
it is.
you know, but because he's only requested one waiver, now we've got to go through 11, 12, and 13 and review it all. So. Okay.
Make it complicated.
I try to make it simple and it never works. So
No, but you're correct. To me, this is a change of use of an existing non-residential building.
you're absolutely
That would be a very simple way to approach this.
well. 2.1.1 is a simple way to approach it, but 2.1 is the crutch that prevents us from doing that because of what you just said. So
Okay. Because of the request for just the one waiver.
well,
A waiver.
2.1 says it's a non-residential blah blah blah, whatever it is. That's the thing that keeps us from using 2.1.1.
Okay. I think I have that.
Frank, can you quickly explain why this cannot be reviewed under home occupation?
I can.
Yes, they don't, that's not his home address.
Oh, is that one?
Correct. Otherwise, I would have given him a home occupancy.
Okay.
But the home occupancy also addresses the fact that whatever is being sold by retail needs to be produced.
That would be
On-site.
that
Yeah.
would be a consideration, correct?
Correct. I just wanted that for the record because it seems like this could be a home occupation, but because he's selling something retail, he's not manufacturing, it can't be a home occupation.
Correct.
Correct.
It also limits his sign, and I believe, Mr. Arman, you want to put a sign down on 52 where your Ararat sign already exists?
Well, I will put a sign that is required, but nothing more than that.
Okay.
If you were a home occupation, it'd be a 3 square foot sign. You don't have to do it. But in order to have anything larger, you would have to be a commercial site, which is what this would be about tonight. So
I
that
see.
would be your call.
Mhm.
What would be the most straightforward way of doing it? Because as some of you mentioned earlier, you'd like to keep things simple. And I'm flexible in terms of which way to go.
At this point, is there room to go backwards?
I don't see any avenue for going backwards. We've only got requests for one waiver. I think the board, I believe, I can review the orders, but I believe the board has the authority to request or to institute waivers as well as the applicant.
Mhm.
If that's the case, I guess we could look through 11, 12, and 13 and look for standards that are not appropriate to the application and put it into the record that we are requesting waivers or we are instituting waivers for those items. Otherwise, we have to review every item in 11, 12, and 13 on this application.
But that would be at the next meeting anyway, correct?
Yeah, that would be for the final review for improvement.
Right.
What we should be doing right now is going through the submissions.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a quick thing.
Yep.
You can start with 10.2.
And so with, you want 10.2?
Yeah, property owner's name, address.
Yeah.
Right. But this is what you're gonna have to have for complete submission. 10.2,
Oh, where Mr. Arman's already started that. He started.
right, right.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, if the board, you've all looked through it, feel he has provided those, then that's what you're looking for, is approval that the submissions are complete.
Yeah. And that's where I was asking if anyone had questions
Right.
based on those pages that he has already filled out. I mean, I asked mine.
I have none.
I have none.
Requesting a waiver, I had overhead lighting. You're not changing anything about the lighting. You would have existing, correct?
Not, yes, we have existing lighting.
And the sign would be, you address that. So I had no other questions. We now still technically have to go through them one by one, correct? Do they have to be stated out line, or can we make a general in the signature existing?
Well, you can quickly run through them. You don't have,
Okay.
you're not voting on those.
No.
You're just confirming that they are there. It's not till you get into the review standards that you have to vote individually on each one of the 22 items.
Okay. So 10.2, A is property owner's name and address, done. Location, done. Names and addresses of all the abutters, he has included that. Names and addresses of all consultants, he has included. Sketch map, included. Boundaries of all contiguous properties under total or partial control of the owner applicant, map attached to packet. Tax map, done. Copy of the deed, done. Elaine Martin on the site plan. That was another question from Frank. Do we ever just have a copy of the original site plan? And it's not really pertinent in this case.
There was, because it's agricultural, there was no commercial site plan.
Okay.
Not required
Evidence
by.
of the applicant's technical and financial capability, done. Existing conditions, overlay sub-districts, et cetera, were not applicable. Bearings and the length of all property lines on attached maps. C, location and size of existing sewer systems. That's where he requested a waiver. D, locations, names, present widths of existing public and private streets, all shown on his maps. The location and dimensions of ground floor elevation of all existing buildings on site. We had some photographs, not exactly ground floor elevations, but I think his descriptions and the square footage is satisfactory. Or does anyone want more details on the structure of the house, the barn, and the business?
Well, actually, you're not even concerned with the height of the business. It's just the room that is being used.
Okay.
Yeah.
An existing room that's being used.
Yes. F is the location and dimensions of existing driveways and parking. We have that. Location of the intersecting roads and driveways. We have that. Location of open drainage courses, wetlands, stone yards, gray, not applicable. Direction of existing surface water drainage goes north, apparently. The location of the nearest fire hydrant, dry hydrant, or other water supply, he has included that. The location of the front view dimensions, lighting of existing and proposed sites, and has included written overhead lighting, motion detectors, sign, etc. I don't think those were on the map, were they? And farmstead sign already exists and will be added language for the business. So we address the sign. Did I skip a page? 2, 3, no. Location and dimensions of existing easement and copies of covenants and deed restrictions, not applicable. Proposed development activity, not really applicable. And the direction of the proposed surface water drainage across the site. And what was the answer to that one? Oh, and from the site, no impact, okay. If anyone has questions, holler up. Provisions for handling all solid waste. I think that's already taken care of. Location, dimensions, materials to be used in the construction of proposed driveways, an existing structure, proposed landscaping and buffering, existing location, dimensions of ground floor elevation and proposed buildings, existing structure, location, front view, materials and dimensions of proposed signs will be added to already existing sign on the property. Location and type of exterior lighting. Overhead lighting and motion sensors all in place. The location of utilities, fire hydrant, sprinkler system, dry hydrant, generator, and circuit breaker. General description of the proposed use or activity. We have that. Estimate of the peak hour of traffic. I think he explained that quite well. And stormwater calculations, sedimentation, etc. Already an existing structure. Nothing's going to be impacted in those ways. Copies of applicable state approvals and permits. Shouldn't be anything there to worry about either, right? So is that the end of that? That's number 5M.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's everything.
And there's what?
That's everything.
That's everything.
So we deem this complete. And so what we still need is the certificates showing that Mr. Armand's going to contact all of his abutters. And in that letter, he includes the next meeting that's going to be on the subject. And does he also include what the proposal is?
Oh, you mean in your butter letter?
Yes.
Yeah, in the butter letter, we have a form letter, and we'll make that out at the town office and submit. We'll give him a copy, and he can put in the names of the different abutters to send it to.
Okay.
So that's part of the finding the application complete is having a list of abutters, which we don't have.
Correct. Because really tonight was technically going to be a pre-application. So if he gets that part done, we can move right on to the total review.
But do you want to wait for a motion to find it complete except for the list, or just wait till next time to find it complete?
Well, you can't.
You can find it complete prior to the abutters, can't you? Or not?
Not if they're your applicant, not if it's required that you have a list of abutters to find it complete.
Okay, we have the list, but they haven't been contacted.
Oh,
Correct.
What's
You do it. It is complete.
Yeah, the
Does it
list
say
is in your packet.
Does it say to supply the names of the abutters, or does it say to have them notified?
It says, no, it says to apply the names to the abutters. That's been done.
Do we have a
Now-
list of the names?
Yes.
Yes,
Then we're
in the
complete.
In the packet.
Then
Right.
we're complete.
So,
Then we're
so,
done.
what- and now they could not have sent list to the abutters prior to this because they didn't have a date.
Correct.
So it has to come before the board to tell them this is the date that we're gonna put on the abutter letter to send out. So they're okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a requirement that they send out to the abutters and then the abutters be notified. But if the application requirements for submission just says we have to have a list of the abutters, we have that.
Correct.
Yes,
We
we're
can make a
complete.
motion that we find after having reviewed 10.2 to 10.5 for submission requirements that we find the application complete.
Correct.
Right,
I would make
very
that.
good.
And at the next meeting, we can see what the abutters say and go from there.
We didn't know what they said.
Is Jay making that motion?
I just made the motion. We
Oh,
need,
did you make that motion?
I'll second it.
we, we need the receipts from the abutters that they received the notification at the next meeting.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely. I
Abutters,
will have that.
okay, and we can find it complete based on the fact that we have the list.
Broke up. I can't hear you, Jay.
And I just made that motion.
Oh,
And I seconded it.
Scott seconded it.
Yeah, we all did.
I
All in
didn't.
favor of finding this submission complete?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Can I ask a question?
please.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Frank brought up a point. I'm just curious. This is an agricultural site that does not require commercial site plan authorization or approval. There is,
Amendment.
Right, there is a building on this agricultural site that we are looking at for an application been submitted to make it a commercial site. If we approve this, is it just the building that we're talking about that's the commercial site approval?
We're approving on that map and lot, this function is a commercial site.
On that one building?
On that one building. The agriculture activity is separate from this.
Okay.
And that's
Right.
what, that is clearly delineated, those two rooms.
Yes.
That is the commercial site.
Okay, fine.
And as you ran through the submissions, none of the submission inputs had any reference to anything except these two rooms and the type of activity it was.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So we voted. Are we done?
And we congratulate him yet?
Congratulations, Mr. Armand.
Thank you. This appears to be a very harmonious group. So thank you very much.
Sometimes.
Harmonious.
And Mr. Armand, I'll be in touch with Amanda tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
welcome.
thank you. Good night. Thank you, Mr. Armand.
Good night.
Jay has a question.
Yes, please.
For Mr. Orman.
Yes.
If you can supply at the next meeting where we look at the standards and we apply them to the application, if you could supply the board with what the federal firearms license requirements are for security and hazardous material handling, if there are any, that would help us a lot because we're going to be looking at hazardous material handling. Gunpowder obviously is going to be hazardous material. And I think security might be an issue also. So it would help us out if you could have that information ready when we ask those questions.
Be happy to do it. Just for clarification, because there won't be any shooting associated with this business.
But you'll be selling ammunition.
Gunpowder will be an issue because we're not assembling any ammunition on site. Everything will be pre-packed.
And I did look at those requirements, which are minimal for the federal firearms license. Basically, I think there was a reference to a safe and a designated place, but otherwise, many of those other things aren't addressed, but they would be addressed by our local.
Well, you're doing your homework.
Provisions.
That's great.
Pardon
Yeah.
me?
You're doing
She always does.
I think that was supposed to be my job.
Very good.
Print it out here too.
Thank you very much for your attentiveness. Thank you.
Thank you, and have a great
Thank you.
night.
Have a nice night.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye-bye. And then Nancy, do we have some minutes to approve?
Yes,
Good
you do.
night, people.
Yes, you do.
Who's saying good night? Oh, good night, Frank. Thank you.
Good night,
Thank
Frank.
you. Hey, Frank.
I know, I saw them.
Yep.
And I read them and they were so detailed.
She does the best minutes in the world.
Thank you, Scott.
Scott, when I email you, today I emailed Duck Trap and Guitar Man.
Yeah, it's
Are the
Guitar
other-
Man 5319.
That's the most dependable for you?
That's my email.
Okay. And Bill,
Yes.
all the emails to William Norfleet 2000 came back to me. Did you get
That's-
emails from me today?
Yeah, I guess I didn't forward a correction. That William Norfleet 2000 is obsolete.
Okay. So just the
the-
WT Norfleet at Gmail.
That's correct.
Okay, great. Anybody else prefer a different email address?
I prefer no email address, but if you sent something to me today or yesterday or last week,
I
I
did.
probably didn't read it.
Okay,
So can you just text me
okay.
207-631-1400? I'm sorry, I just don't do email.
Okay.
I got 24,000 emails unread. If anybody could tell me how to delete the whole thing at once, I would give you $5.
Just hit the box that says all. and then push the trash can.
Oh, yeah?
They're gone, Janice.
A box that says all, really?
Yeah,
Gmail does, yeah.
I'll be looking for that.
I want $5,000.
So did anybody
Check the
sign up
check.
for the
If it
December
works, Gail, give me
workshop?
$5. If it works, I'll try it.
Anybody sign up for the December workshop?
No.
No,
Dick, you did? Yay, Dick. I signed up. All right.
Does everybody have a planning board manual?
Yes.
Yep.
yes.
Good, okay.
We're supposed to read that?
It helps.
Okay, on those minutes, guys.
I'll make a motion, we approve Nancy's minutes from the last meeting.
I second it.
I will vote aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Great. Thank
Oh,
you.
even Sandy voted on that one.
Yeah.
Well, I was there,
Yes, you were.
so I get to vote on something.
you were there. You were there, Sandy.
Okay. Anything else, guys?
When is your next meeting?
What
Do you
is the
know?
date of the next meeting, please?
Yes.
Would that be, oh, this is that month when that Thanksgiving-y thing happens, isn't it?
Mm.
So technically, it would have been the 25th. Is that working for everyone? Is that right, Jay?
no,
Is it
not
the
for me.
last Thursday? Or
I
is it the
can't come.
second to last? What's the norm, Nancy? Is it the last or second to last?
I don't know as far as Lincolnville goes.
Last,
It is usually the last.
second and last Wednesday, yeah.
Okay. So what are the options if we don't want to meet on the 25th, or if everybody can make it except Janice, then we could certainly meet that night. If you want to pick another night that week,
Why don't we
Doesn't
want
matter
to,
to me.
why
what,
don't we
Jan-
want to do the 25th?
25th is fine for me.
That's fine.
25th.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
25th.
Then we'll make it the 25th, Nancy.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay. We'll just not have Janice with us.
Yeah, sorry, I'll be in the White Mountains.
Okay. All right.
Well, we got
Does
two,
anybody want to make a motion? Oh, what'd you
I'll
say,
make a
Jay?
motion, we adjourn.
we got two alternates now. We're in good shape.
Yes, yes. We're gonna put you to work, Bill.
Oh, boy.
All right, someone made a motion. Scott made a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Second.
Thank you. Everybody wants to adjourn?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
supper's waiting.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everybody.